Okay, I'm joined today by Hana Walker-Brown, who is creative director at Broccoli Productions. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you?
Good. Yeah,
Good.
fine. Just living that Zoom life as always.
Yeah, we had a couple of technical difficulties before this, mostly my fault. But yeah, we were saying we're pretty much over this, aren't we? It would have been nice to have done this face to face and actually get out
Yeah,
into town and go and have lunch afterwards and all that stuff and enjoy London life again. But no, we're still stuck at home. But yeah, we can get on to all of that and how that's been affecting your production process and things like that. But we're here primarily to talk about Anthems,
yeah,
which I mean, by the time this goes out, the new sort of collection will slowly be being released. Could you tell our listeners about it if people don't know what it is? What is Anthems?
yeah. Sure. I love that you called it a collection because that's what I call it. So thanks
Oh,
for
cool.
saying that. So Anthems, we're releasing Anthems Pride, which is the newest collection. Anthems is, I guess, a series of 30 very short podcasts written and voiced by, in this instance, exclusively LGBTQIA plus contributors. And they are single voiced manifestos, poems, stories, occasionally spoken word, that kind of celebrate and contemplate what it means to be human. So we started with Anthems Women, which launched last year in Women's History Month, all women contributors. We do Pride, we do Anthems Black in UK Black History Month, and last year we did Anthems Home as an additional series, which was episodes written and voiced by people all over the world in lockdown, just as a kind of way to, I guess, not commemorate lockdown, because I'm not sure we want to commemorate it, but a kind of oral history, so that the kind of human voice of everything that was happening in the pandemic, we could kind of hold and keep and remember, and give people a bit of work when they were struggling.
Yeah,
So
great.
Pride, I think Pride, I don't know, it feels like Anthems is my child, so I shouldn't say this, but I do think Pride is the greatest series. Like, they're all exceptional, but there's just something about the kind of party and protest of Pride that really chimes with Anthems. That's kind of why it was created, as both those like dual parts. So yeah, I'm excited for this series.
Brilliant. And what is the release schedule? It's pretty much every day, right, for the whole
It's
month?
every day. Yeah, that's the format. We wanted to create something that had a bold format, that no one else was doing. So, like, why not release a show every single day across a month? Which, in hindsight, is it's mad and it's a lot of work. But I think, people really get into a rhythm with them. It's like, if you reach for your phone first thing in the morning and you do a meditation, or I don't know, you want a doom scroll or you want to read the news, like, you can reach for Anthems instead. And I think, especially during kind of peak pandemic, it did bring people a lot of comfort. So yeah, this series starts on June 1st, or it will have started by the time this comes out. But yeah, you'll get one a day for the whole of June.
Cool. And they're not hugely long, are they? They're sort of bite-sized, sort of like
No,
10,
yeah,
10
bite
minutes
size
ish.
exactly. Less than. There's a couple sort of on the 10-minute cusp, but between 3 and sort of 9 minutes, most of them hit sort of 6, 7. So yeah, just a nice way to start the day, hearing from someone else, maybe finding comfort or a bit of joy or a bit of rage. Rage is always good to kind of kickstart your day.
Yeah,
So yeah, they're short but sweet.
totally. Cool. All right. So, I mean, you mentioned they're coming out every single day. That is a lot of work that you have sort of created for yourself, I imagine. How
Yeah,
far in
it is.
advance? How far in advance are you thinking about this? I mean, I'm guessing that as soon as the last Pride finished, you were like, right, now I want to get in touch with these people and see if we can start setting it up. It's a lot of work. How does it
Yeah,
all
I mean,
work
that
out?
would make sense.
But no.
I guess no, it doesn't work like that, because we've got kind of so many other shows going
Yeah.
on. I've also been writing a book in this time, just I don't know why, just wanted to punish myself further, I think.
Yeah.
But no, we're 2 months ahead, so we start sort of reaching out and researching which contributors we'd like to approach a couple of months before. Like, we've got a really exceptional team at Broccoli. We're a small team, but on Anthems this year, I've got both of our producers, Jaja Mohammed and B Duncan, and a production assistant, Rory Boyle. So last year it was just B and I making sort of everything, but this year we've got a bit more kind of power behind it. But it's a couple of months run up and things happen very quickly. You know, we have to contract 30 people, we have to chase 30 people for scripts and then audio, and obviously everything is still remote. We're not meeting people in person, so yeah, it's a graft. It's a big old graft, but I think it's worth it. And I think now, you know, we know what we're doing. I mean, amongst that, we also make all the assets ourselves, so all the social media. I still sound design every single episode, although this time I've brought on a couple of other sound designers, because again, 30 episodes is like madness, but we get there somehow. Just don't question it, just keep moving forwards.
Perfect. Well, I mean, as you can imagine, mostly on this podcast, we're talking to hosts or people who are heading up the episodes themselves. And, you know, a lot of the time it's interview podcasts or whatever. Obviously, you've touched upon a couple of the things that you do for Anthems. But could you, because I know there'll be some people who are listening who might wonder what a producer does or a creative director. And I know the roles can vary from project to project and company to company. Sure. But what would you say is your sort of overarching role when it comes to Anthems? Is it sort of overseeing and making sure everything's getting done and that kind of stuff? I guess, you know, we wear so many hats, especially as kind of Broccoli is essentially a startup. Like, that's how we run as a startup. Everyone kind of does a bit of everything. And I guess, you know, Anthems was my idea. I brought it to the company. They all said, yes, let's do it, and we'll figure out how later. So this one for Pride, I have sort of been the overseer. We all have an input in who we approach, who we ask to be in the series. And then this time I've sort of left it up to the production team, because I also think, you know, when you create a series, there's no point you being the only one that can do it. I think the best shows are the ones that you can pass on and develop as you kind of work on other things. So my sort of ambition for Anthems was it would be this, I guess, this package that I could pass on to the next producer. You know, I hope that the producers on it now will be the exec producers on it next year, and it will roll like that. Because I just think, you know, if I'm the only one that could do it, it's, well, I don't know, like, what if anything could happen to me? Like, the show's got to go on. But I think there's something quite democratic about that as well. I'm not precious about it just, you know, being my thing. So yeah, this time I've sort of stepped back slightly, but been there to kind of, you know, review scripts or kind of support the team, but I've let them roll with it this year. And then it's quite nice for me, because then I get the pieces and I just get to hear them and sound design around them, and like the first time I hear them is when I'm making the music under them. So that I like more doing it that way. It's quite surprising. I think it fuels my imagination and creativity a lot more than if I've sort of, I don't know, seen the script from inception to final piece. Yeah, that makes sense. It must be a lot of fun actually, sort of sitting there and knowing you've got 30 odd slots to fill. And then just as a team thinking, right, who are we going to approach? There's going to be names that you immediately think of, and then a bit of research. Have you had anybody getting in touch with you and saying that they would like to appear?
Yeah, we do. We get that quite a lot. I think the series did really well last year. We had a huge amount of downloads, and it just sort of, I guess there's nothing else like it. So it managed to penetrate a lot of the kind of mainstream media, a lot of magazines. It was sort of omnipresent, I think. And we do get people reaching out to us. Sometimes it's a good fit, sometimes it's not. I think the thing about Anthems is, you know, yes, we do include kind of high profile names who have a lot of visibility, big platforms, but at the same time, you know, they sit side by side with like students or youth workers or junior doctors who don't have the kind of, I guess, online gravitas that a lot of the kind of celebrity influencer world does. They're the sort of people that approach us more as kind of agents. But and we've done a couple of call outs for contributors. Like Home was completely submission based, and we found some exceptional writers and voices in that. And women, we opened out for 5 submissions just to see who's out there, because
why not?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I guess especially with podcasts, it's sort of the same few names that do the circuit time and time again. And we were like, there's more people out there that are really good. And yeah, I think we found some.
Perfect. So finally, I just want to touch on the fact that we've been living through this pandemic, and I just obviously a lot that you've been doing with Anthems has probably kind of worked nicely to be able to sort of just reach out to people and then have submissions coming in. Do you think when things open up again and you're creating the next series, whatever that may be, of Anthems, you'll want to do it in a studio? You want to start sort of scheduling in people to come in, and the logistical side of that? What are you thinking?
I mean, the selfish part of me that absolutely buzzes on being in a studio is like, yes, we'll do everything in a studio. I want to see people in real life and meet them. We've had like 160 contributors, and we've never met a lot of them in real life. And I don't know, there's just something I love about, being in a room with someone, and especially if someone's, being quite vulnerable or offering something from the heart, and you want to be able to support them through that, not just be like, oh, here's the Zoom link, send it in, and then they're kind of just left sitting in, saying this stuff out loud, which I think we underestimate how difficult that can be sometimes. But also, it's really efficient, the system we've got. And I was living in Spain last year, which was dreamy, but I'd like to be back there. So I guess that other side is like, no, we'll just keep it remote. But I think I'd like to meet everyone. I'd like to meet the kind of community that we've built through Anthems, and kind of get everyone in a room as well. So I don't know, we'll see, but it works either way. Yeah,
there are definite pros and cons. We found doing this, obviously I loved doing it in London. We used to go into the Acast offices and use their lovely studio, and just meeting people, it just makes a big difference. But there are a lot of people who didn't want to come into London, or didn't even live anywhere near London, So, and especially if it's,
and that's the other thing,
for a short thing. So you've got access to people worldwide.
Absolutely, and it means that people can do it on their terms, and they can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be like, right, it has to be at this time because it's the studio's free. They could send it in at midnight if they want. So it does open up the possibility of where and how and who we can include. But again, I do like being in a studio. So we'll see.
I bet.
We'll see.
Cool. Final thing. And I'm probably putting you on the spot slightly here, so no worries if you need to have a bit of thinking time. But Anthems Pride, are there any particular episodes that you think people are going to absolutely love to hear, like ones that surprised you, big names you'd like to tease people with, or do you just want...
Do you know what? Usually we don't tell anyone because that's the surprise in the morning.
Makes sense.
However, what I will say is this year we've included an ally within the collection, and that's Judy Shepard, who's the mother of Matthew Shepard, who was brutally murdered essentially, but beaten in Wyoming. It's one of the highest profile hate crimes within the LGBT community, and he later died. He's her son, so she's a huge advocate for LGBTQIA plus rights, and her piece is on allyship, and I think that's a word that people are a bit scared of, or they don't quite understand, or they don't know how to do it. And I think her piece is really good at interrogating what that word is and what that word isn't, and just kind of laying it out in a way that isn't performative, that lets it's hard, but also it can be something really beautiful. And hearing someone talk about the death of their son like that is, obviously harrowing, but actually what she's been able to do because of that is pretty astounding. So that's one to look out for, I think. And I think that's one that, you'll really learn something from, and just the kind of the courage of her is really inspiring. So that's all I'm going to
Cool. Nice. That was a good tease. I'm interested. I'm really intrigued. I want to listen to that one. Brilliant. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Hannah. Well, listeners
Pleasure.
to the Pod Bible podcast, if you look at your phone now or whatever you're listening to podcasts on, and you type up Anthems, then I think there will be a few that have already come out, and you've got the rest of the month to enjoy, and then you've got all the other episodes of all the other collections. So
you've got like hundreds of these things.
Which might seem intimidating if they were 3 hours long, like some podcasts, but no. Little
they're
bite-sized
short.
chunks.
Like you could listen to one every day for the rest of the year.
Perfect. Amazing.
Right?
Brilliant. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Hannah, and best of luck with everything in the future.
Thanks, and you.